Hello and welcome back to the GB Fantasy Football channel. As you can tell by the smile on my face, it is the first of many. First draft, it's here, it's finally upon us. The Sun Dream Team game is out and I couldn't be happier for it. If you're happy, leave a comment down below on if you are going to be playing the game this season. I, for one, I love it. Do drop a subscribe on the channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. We do all sorts of Sun Dream Team content and the FPL content as well when that is available. Drop a thumbs up, get the video out there, let's grow this Sun Dream Team community even bigger than it already is. Without further ado, let's crack on with the video. Now, with it being the first draft of the year, going to be a little bit sneaky and break it down into goalkeeper, defence, midfield and attack. The way that the game is set up this season, with the availability of carrying transfers over, it has slightly changed how I view the way to build a team. Previously, last season, I did indeed finish third. This is a new one. I think it's very much a new game, despite not changing too much on it. So let's see how we can go on that front. Targeting the second round of the Carabao Cup fixtures was always a little tricky. Last season, I actually managed to do pretty well on it. I went with the Palace assets, I went with Munoz, I went with Eze, and they started. I think Eze did quite well. Munoz picked up a clean sheet. Although I didn't, I had Forest assets who didn't play where we pretty much thought that they would. And then Isak played. So the players that we didn't think would play played, and the players that we thought would nail really didn't. So it was a bit hit and miss. I think I went for, what was his name? Jacob Murphy at Newcastle. Didn't start. Cheap budget option. Failed me. So this season, I'm going to go with a similar pattern, but not too different. In goal, I've got Jorgensen. On the game, he is of Chelsea. In real life, he is on the verge of signing for Bournemouth. I believe it is for £25 million. Now, they priced him at 2.5 million, which I think is an exceptionally good value. Last year, we was looking around the £3 million budget. Without spoiling too much of the rest of the team, I believe they've gone quite strong on pricing for the Champions League teams this season. With 6 being in there, I feel like there's quite a few assets that they've overpriced significantly, and I'm not sure why they've done that too much, but we'll get to that in a bit. So I've gone for Jorgensen in goal. Potentially, I've picked him on the basis he will be a Bournemouth goalkeeper. He's got Liverpool away first game, not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. However, with the potential League Cup game in that second game week, I think for 2.5 million, if we're trying to chase those price rises, he'll be a fantastic asset. Now, the back three, a couple of well known assets and one not so well known. So let's start with him. We've got Sirkin from Sunderland. They've got West Ham, Burnley, and Brentford in their first three. That is, if he continues to be a Sunderland asset, that is. 2 million, I think, is decent value. It really is. Sunderland coming up from last season. I watched them occasionally in the Championship. I don't know too much about him as a player, but what I do know is he is linked to Tottenham in real life. With Thomas Frank, potentially a wing back system being employed there now. I think it covers some decent bases. It covers Sunderland, it covers decent fixtures, and it also covers the potential for a bigger transfer. Now, this could be a game breaker. If he's signed by Tottenham and starts, 2 million asset for that, I think he'll be in everybody's team. We then got Cucurella. Now, this is on the basis that he will be ready for the start of the season. Of course, Chelsea won the Club World Cup against PSG, and that was yesterday as time of speaking. I think it's mandatory to give players 3 weeks off, so it might be a tight turnaround. But if not, Chelsea have got fantastic fixtures at the start of the season. And also, if you watch Chelsea, you'll know how high up Cucurella actually gets in that team. He's always crashing into the box. And goal potential, as well as shots and tackles, is always good for tackles. I think 4.5 million is actually slightly underpriced for them. And then we've gone for 8 Nori of now Manchester City. Now, if you played the game last year, you'll know how well he did at Wolves, linking up with Cunha down that left hand side. from what I saw of Man City in the Club World Cup, he was extremely high. They played a bit of a 3-5-2 system, and he was the left midfielder, left wing back, left winger in that system. Similar to Cucurella, I'm expecting Aït Nouri to get in the box quite often. That is if he starts. Pep roulette, we always know, is a tricky thing to follow. But I think for 4.5 million, with Champions League games coming up, a decent start fixture wise for him as well. I think he'll be in quite a lot of teams. Gavardio being 5.5 million. As a centre back, we think far too much. But Aït Nouri offers decent value. Or in midfield, we've gone for two well known, nailed on. Pretty much everyone wants them in the team assets to two brand new signings. Let's start with the nailed on one, shall we? We've got Cole Palmer of Chelsea. This might be recency biased, having seen his performance against PSG in that Club World Cup final. 2 goals and an assist in that one. We know what he can do on this game. At 6 million, I feel like they've actually priced him decently. They haven't gone to silly lengths, and Palmer, when he can go out of this world and when his performances are on song, he gets the monster hauls. And the good thing with Palmer is, even when he's not playing incredibly well, you're still expecting to pick up between 4 and 6 points. As I said with Cucurella, it's the same thing. Chelsea's fixtures at the start of the season are really, really good, and it means we've got him in place for the Champions League. Next to him, we've got Bukayo Saka. Now, Man United away, Liverpool away, and Manchester City away, I believe it is, 3 out of the first 5 fixtures. It's not great, but with Saka, we know I don't like using the phrase fixture proof, but with Saka, we think he's going to be on penalties. Now, we don't know if Gyökeres is going to come in and take them away. I'd be surprised personally, especially with Saka's contract looming. However, he's got penalties, he has tackles, he has big chances created, and the goal threat is always there no matter what the fixture is. Now, Man United away is a dooming and looming fixture, but with only one signing that they've made, I feel like they might be a bit undercooked going into the start of the season. So Saka makes it into my team, similar to Palmer. Champions League, couple of game weeks in, got him in place. He'd be good to go. And the two newer assets this season, I've gone for Alanga of now Newcastle, just signed for 55 million from Nottingham Forest, and Adingra, who's now at Sunderland, signed from Brighton. Now, starting with Alanga, I do feel like he will play on that right hand side. Jacob Murphy, he did fantastic for Newcastle last season, but with them being in the Champions League this year, I think Alanga's quality is quite a bit more than Murphy on that right hand side. I feel like they're going to go with Anthony Gordon on the left, Isak, although they have been linked with Ekatike, that there are strong links today, so we'll see how that one plays out. And Alanga on the right. If he can pick up nearly as many points as Murphy did in his time last season, it'll be a decent asset. And then I've gone for Adingra, as I just mentioned. Signed from Brighton to Sunderland. I do feel like Sunderland's fixtures at the start are ones to look at. With them being a promoted team, I feel like many will stray away and not really want their assets. But we saw what Adingra's quality was like at Brighton. It didn't always start, but that wasn't necessarily down to poor performances. That was more a wealth of options in the wide areas. Can he score the goals and get the assists in a Sunderland team that might struggle? It's still yet to be seen. But I do feel like that mid-range bracket in the midfield this season isn't quite as easy to access as it was last year. We have players such as Gibbs White at 3.5 million going into the season this year. As far as I'm aware, from the brief look that I've seen, there isn't too many options. So that would be my starting four for this first draft in midfield. And finally, up front, as you can see, we are a Norwegian striker down. I feel like for his price, I might need to get him in the team. And this is the problem with so many drafts and taking that first look at the team and not really knowing going forward how you want to structure it. But you look at that team and it looks so good, and then you get to the forward line and there's no Haaland, and you think, can I find a way? It's the same with Isak to some extent, but I feel like they bumped him up quite a bit this season price wise. And up until January last season, he wasn't really the incredible asset that we remember him as. And we got Salah. Salah's nailed. he can do really, really well. We know he can. It's Salah. It might be a different formation this year for Liverpool if reports are to be believed. They might drop into a back three, five in midfield with those two fullbacks, Kirkez and Frimpong, who didn't quite make the team. However, Kirkez is really, really drawing me in. I need to see pre-season to see which one out of the two will get higher up the pitch. But Salah's in, nailed on. Probably will be captain first game of the season, depending on how many defenders Bournemouth actually do get through the door. It's not ideal having an attacker and a goalkeeper face off in that first game because you're limiting your points potential. But I feel like price wise, it just kind of has to be in there. And of course, this is the first draft of many, so we'll see how it goes. And finally, Jared Bowen. Unfortunately, still a striker in the game. I was personally hoping he was going to be a midfielder for selfish reasons. I do actually think he plays in midfield the most of the time, predominantly for West Ham. However, Sun Dream Team very much see him as a striker. For 5 million, I think he offers decent potential. It's um, it's good to have him in the team again. Also, West Ham Carabao Cup, similar to Adingra actually. I didn't mention that midfield. I think Adingra will play that second round of the Carabao Cup. Bowen, we know what he's like. Goals. I think he might even be on penalties again. He's just. I mean, he's Jared Bowen, isn't he? And then we've got Chris Wood. Now, did incredible last season. Nottingham Forest in the Conference League. Currently, I don't believe they've been promoted into the Europa League quite yet, with the ongoing thing that Palace have with their demotion and Leon and all them problems that they've got. So currently, I'm banking on Forest being in the Conference League instead, and I feel like for 4 million, he has he's on penalties. If he can even do half of what he did last season, hopefully towards the start of the season, that is, for 4 million, price wise, I don't feel like you can get too much better, that is, in that forward line. And this squad does have 0.5 remaining in the bank, so there is room for manoeuvre. But having a brief look, seeing the players, seeing the prices, I'm not too disappointed with that team as a first draft. And that concludes the very first draft of the Sun Dream Team season. Now, if you play the game, you know the first draft probably won't be the last by any stretch of the imagination. There'll be transfers, there'll be players that we see in pre-season breakthrough that will grab our attention price-wise, of course. If there's a midfielder that comes out of nowhere that's 2.5, 3 million that we must have in our teams that enables us to get players like Haaland up front, I'll be sure to get them in drafts and get the information out there. I am a sponge when it comes to this game, taking all the content in, getting people's opinions, seeing other people's drafts. This is the fun time of the season for me. When it gets that first game of the season and we're limited to two transfers, you always feel like, ugh. But right now, unlimited transfers, we're changing our teams constantly. This is where the fun begins. So if you have enjoyed today's video, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciated. And there's going to be so much more Sun Dream Team content going forward. Do go check out the socials. We've got X, we've got Instagram, we've got TikTok. I'm always constantly over there. TikTok and X specifically out the three of them. But do go check them out for all the good stuff. So that has been the first draft. Thank you very much for watching, and you'll be seeing me in a new video very soon.